Sorry.
Okay, so here's what I'm doing. I'm going to give you a link to another stream channel.
Yeah.
They're called
Yes,
the
sir.
Presumption Podcast.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
And
Right.
when you jump forward to 1 hour and 5 minutes, I believe.
All right.
No, not that far. I'm sorry. Yeah, I got to go back and look. Anyways, I'll give you the
You're
time
good.
you got to jump to. But these
Okay.
people, there's the woman in the bottom right corner. CeCe is an expert, and
Yeah.
she's one that testifies
Oh yeah.
for the prosecution.
Yeah.
Okay, 99% of her work is working with the prosecution, and she says that DNA that the FBI had contact with was a lead. That there's technology they use to generate leads, and it's up to the investigating agency to take that lead and see if it's relevant to their case
Mm-hmm.
and pursue it. Okay, and that she also explains that when they say protected witnesses, they're talking about the family tree, and that in the event that those people aren't their information, who they are, where they live, is not released because they're given protection as informants. So that the potential, and the reason is bullshit, and someone should challenge this in the Supreme Court. But her reasoning is, and the reasoning behind doing this is so that if somebody were not convicted, but they were in fact a criminal, they couldn't go hunt the people that provided the DNA, which is
Right.
insane. The reasoning behind it, that, like I said, that should be challenged. But she's very clears up exactly how and why all of that connects. And the other attorneys in the room are very insistent on this being touch DNA, and they're not happy with that at all. She admits that touch DNA does not locate you or tell you that when and how that came to be. So she's very good about it. That's why I wanted to give you guys that link. I'll find out the minute to start it, and I'll jump back in a second.
So there's a show 50 to 109, and we're gonna check this out real quick. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you, Tommy, and thank you, Sergeant. Appreciate it. 59.
Sure.
All right.
Less of body fluid, and you get DNA from that, or hair samples, or tissue samples. So that's a different type of DNA, correct?
Absolutely. And so that is going to help determine how directly it ties someone to a crime, of course. And I'm not an expert in this. I'm not a lawyer, but certainly we're working a case where they found semen inside a dead woman's body that has been raped. And that individual didn't have any tie to that person, wasn't a known partner, then that's much more damning than if somebody's blood maybe is found on a wall at a crime scene, which we've had that happen, and it ended up being a prior occupant of that home. In fact, we've had that happen.
You agree that, like what Jim was saying, the touch DNA could be transfer DNA as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. And, I'm not a geneticist. I'm a genetic genealogist. So I'm just speaking from the work that I've done. But to me, as a layman, it seems clear that touch DNA is far less damning than when someone's blood is mixed with the blood of the victim or their sperm inside a dead body. Sorry about being indelicate. But.
You're muted, bro.
Damn, that sucks. My bad.
That's all right.
That's what I'm saying about the touch DNA. Touch is transfer. I tell you touch the pen, I touch the pen, then I touch the cup, and your touch DNA is on my cup. It's that simple. Yep. So to say that you can DP or even, I guess you could arrest somebody, but to be holding them for like this, I don't understand.
And the next question I have is there scientific consensus as to what it takes for a match in your field?
So a match in our field means something very different than a match in a law enforcement database or a court case. A match in our field is a partial match, and it's caused a lot of confusion, and I wish we had a different term, but that's what we've always called it in genetic genealogy. If I get a match, that could be someone who shares 1% of their DNA and is my third cousin, and we share a set of great-great-grandparents. That's very different than a match in, say, CODIS, where it's that person, or
Right.
if you're doing familial search.
And it makes you wonder, is it the reason that they can't provide the documentation to show how they got the link is because they did it improperly?
Yep. That's what I think.
Just
That's
a
exactly
thought.
what I think. Right.
Then it could be their parent or child. Or
Just a thought.
And so that's very high confidence. There's no reason for two people to share 1% of their DNA unless they have a common ancestor or ancestors in their tree. And that's what genetic genealogy is based on. And so we're typically working with these very small
What?
amounts of shared DNA and very distant relatives.
Well, I mean, 99% of DNA is common to all humans, but you're only talking about 1% of the DNA.
Not this type. So this type of DNA, you share 50% with each of your parents, about 25% with each of your grandparents, about 12.5% with each great grandparent. And this is the type of DNA that changes quickly. SNPs, single nucleotide polymorphisms, are the ones that mutate, that change. And so those ATCs and Gs are going to be different with people that are unrelated. And we're looking for long identical stretches. We're not looking for single marker matches like you would with the STR profiles.
Yeah,
and so it's many in a row. They're actually blocks of shared DNA.
And that really is my question. How many in a row have to match before it's a match?
So we measure them on centimorgans. That's the unit of measurement for genetic genealogy.
Learning
and
something
if
tonight.
Somebody shares, I would say it's not, it's not an exact science. 20 centimorgans or over is pretty confident that they have to have at least one common ancestor in their family tree. The match lists typically go down to 7 centimorgans, but we're not typically using those. We are usually using maybe the top 12 matches or top 2 dozen.
Wow.
We're hoping we'll find matches that share over, say, 70
Pause that for a
centimorgans,
second,
which is approximately a third
Please.
cousin.
Thank you, Tommy and Sargent. Holy crap. This needs to be shared. This
is
needs to
great.
be
That's
shared.
why I'm covering it tomorrow too.
Wow.
Kendra said nothing else to show he was there. They should have warranted his home, car, office, and all that to test him before they arrested him. That's exactly what we've been saying, folks. That's what they know that they did wrong. They know they did that wrong, and that's why this has turned into the game that it has, you guys.
Wow. Yeah, I like her a lot too. She's definitely share this video. I'm gonna make a community post about it. Thank you again, Tommy and Sargent. Definitely appreciate it. And I'm gonna be making a community post after the show because this definitely needs to be shared. Wow, the timestamp too. Perfect. Thank you so much.
If you are sharing anything above 50 centimorgans, we can be confident that you are going to have a relatively recent common ancestor in your family tree. As it gets less and less, it becomes less confident. But as I said, down to about 20 centimorgans, it's highly confident you have someone in your tree that is the same, but you might not be able to find them because maybe they're way back in 1595.
Right. And is that, CeCe Moore's standard, or is there textbook? Is it
that's a good question.
What?
So genetic genealogy was developed by citizen
It's called
scientists.
science, bro.
It's not something that academia or forensic science or traditional scientists were really interested in until we started using it for law enforcement. So there is not a...
Who is this Jim Griffin guy?
He's
very
opinionated. Very opinionated, yeah. Normally, but she's locking him down tonight.
Wow, and look at her. She is straight about the fucking business, bro.
Oh, yeah.
About
Good
the
night,
fucking
Sarge.
business. Yeah, good night, buddy. Thank you so much. And thank you again, Tommy.
Hope to see you tomorrow, brother.
lot of published material, but there are a few studies that talk about the confidence levels and how far down you have to get in that centimorgan count before it becomes questionable. And so there's some that say 14 centimorgans, but 14 centimorgans still can come from so far back that I really kind of err on the side of 20 centimorgans. But yeah, that is my, as the person who's done more genetic genealogy than anyone in the world, that is my standard. But I don't have a science degree. I mean, that's genetic genealogy. You can't get a degree in. There's no licensing. There's no certification. There's no accreditation yet. And so that's one of the reasons that if genetic genealogy were brought into court, it would be very difficult to validate it. It's science and art. It's not something where we're saying this is absolute. We're
Right.
saying this is what the analysis has led us to develop as our hypothesis. And
Right.
of course, all science is hypothesis, but this is a very different type of science, which is why it would be very challenging and why it should never be used as evidence against somebody.
Wow. Right.
Yep, there it is.
Dude, y'all need to share this. Man.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
Wow.
Good stuff, Tommy, and Sarge, for real.
Yeah, for real. Thank you. Wow. She just says it right there. Yeah. Who said what's bigger, octillion or centimorgans? Holy shit. Yeah.
And yeah,
Man.
absolutely.
There's 5 more minutes. There's more. Holy crap. Wow.
I'm telling you, I feel like really strongly like
Bravo,
this,
CeCe.
this dude's gonna get off, guys. I feel like he's gonna be exonerated at this point. I mean, I may be pushing it. I may be a little ahead of myself, but I'm just saying.
Wow. Well, my glasses are more like this guy's down here. I don't know if I could wear some shit like that. Those are pretty big, but man, we'll see. Wow, CeCe, like another A+ performance tonight. And I don't mean performance as it is fake. I mean performance as you're about that business.
She's putting it out
that
there.
business. Wow.
Yeah, she's putting it out there for real.
I do want to address this in the context of Kohberger. I keep going back to Kohberger because people want to hear about this. There is and I understand, a feud between the defense and the prosecution over the IgG in this case.
Which is typical. It's happening.
Yeah, so the defense is saying, we want to see the genetic genealogy testing report, etc., that identified Kohberger. And the prosecution responded to that request for discovery saying multiple things about, like what you said, it doesn't negate his guilt. It is not material to the defense. It is not intended for use at trial, which I never like that argument, because just because you're not going to use it doesn't mean I don't want to, I can't use it. So, and none of the documentation sought belongs to the defendant, and belong is in quotations. Can you explain for our listeners why they're putting that in quotations? What do they mean it doesn't belong? I mean, they took touch DNA and they tested it and found this, what you call a match in your world. How is it?
Matches. So I read what you sent me, and they're asking for the names and the addresses of all of the matches. That would be typically thousands of matches, because you include those very distant ones down to, say, 7 centimorgans. And so that seems like, asking for much more than is relevant.
Yeah.
Now I can see them asking for the ones that were used in the analysis. So like maybe a dozen, maybe 2 dozen were used in the analysis to lead to that hypothesis.
So why can't the defense have a more limited number that was used? I mean, this is.
Well, I'm not a lawyer, but I know what case law has been so far. And there was a ruling in a California case that was appealed and upheld that ruled that they were genetic informants. So they were treated like confidential informants.
Right, genetic informants.
And they really emphasized the importance for those people's identities to stay private. And we can understand why, because if someone were to get off that was actually guilty, right, then they would know which of their relatives were partially responsible for their identification. And that would obviously have a huge chilling effect on anyone providing their DNA for genetic genealogy.
I want this to go up to the Supreme Court at some point.
Right.
I really thought that it would. I spoke in front of a lot of federal appeal judges last year, and many of them approached me and told me they don't think it will ever get to the Supreme Court. There was even 2 Supreme Court justices there when I spoke.
CeCe, could you give us, whenever you get a chance, you could text it, the case name or whatnot of that California ruling? I'm very curious as to.
Yes, you I almost sent it to you right before, actually, because it is so key. And it was one of the very early trials of somebody that was identified through investigative genetic genealogy.
Yeah, it'd be great. I'll post it for viewers as well. So,
Wow.
Jim, do you have anything else for CeCe today?
No, CeCe, it's been very informative. I really do appreciate you coming.
I bet it
It's
has.
And I
Jim.
think we need to talk
Definitely.
British. I mean, we were planning on talking.
I bet it's been very interesting.
Poor dude at the bottom didn't even
Wow.
get to say anything.
I know, but man, that was a lot of learning.
Yeah,
That
it
was
really,
definitely
really
a lot of
was.
learning.